Okay, hi, this is your boy J-Hen with J-Hen Travel and Services. I want to thank you for checking out my YouTube channel. Right now, this is actually my first time going live on YouTube. So this is the first time going live. So when you're doing something live, whatever happens, if I stumble upon some words, if you start hearing some background noises, hey, it's live. So that's what we got to deal with. So I'm looking, I had a few people that were going to be tuning in for this live, trying to see if they've come on yet. Or I have one person that's actually watching right now. So what I wanted to get into in this video is to just talk about some of the things that I normally pack when I'm going on a cruise. I have less than 30 days for my next cruise. I'll be going on the Norwegian Epic Cruise, March the 2nd until March the 7th of 2019. Let's see if you're out there. How about you go ahead and send me a shout out or something? Say hi. Let me know you're out there. Let me know you can hear me. Again, this is my first time doing an actual live YouTube video. So just trying to look to see who's out there, who's watching, who's tuning in before I jump right into what I'm going to be talking about in this YouTube video. So what I'm going to be talking about again is just some of the things that I typically pack when I'm going on a cruise. When you're going on a cruise, you got to make sure you have the right stuff packed with you to make your trip run and go smoothly. So you got to think about yourself. Sometimes you might have to think about the other people that you're traveling with. And a lot of times what I base what I'm going to pack for my cruise is based on maybe where I'm going, the destination, whether it's Caribbean or if I was going someplace like on an Alaskan cruise, as well as what are some of the things I want to do once I get to some of the ports. Typically, when I go to the ports, I typically like to maybe do tours. Sometimes I like to do maybe adventurous stuff like doing the dune buggies, jet skis, riding jet skis, doing any type of water sports, swimming, going to a beach, sometimes hiking. I'm trying to think of one thing that I typically do when I go to Cozumel. It's slipping my brain right now. Oh, the ATVs. I love to do the ATV vehicles whenever I have the opportunity to do something like that. So I know that's going to require me to have some tennis shoes when I get off the cruise ship, because you can't go ride an ATV in sandals or swimming shoes. So let's jump right into some of the things that I typically pack with me when I'm going on a cruise. One of the things I tend to take with me, especially if I'm going on a Caribbean cruise, is I take sunscreen. I mean, gotta have sunscreen. Even though I got some color to me, I do burn, especially now that I a little bald here. So I especially like taking something like this, some Cool Zone sunscreen, because it actually just like when it's hot outside, I could just spray it on my head, on my face, on my arms, on my body, and it pretty much cools you off right away. So this is one thing that I would say that you need to pack in your bag, some type of sunscreen. Let's get this out of the way. All right, something else that I think is very important to pack when you're going on a cruise is like a thermal or something to drink out of, because especially if you're a coffee drinker, a tea drinker, a lot of times the cups that they have on the cruise ship are small. If you're walking around, you can't you don't have any cover over your mugs that they have on the cruise ship, and there can be a lot of germs going around. You don't want to get sick while you're traveling and going on your cruise, and you don't want to have to keep making multiple trips to go to the stations to get coffee or to get tea. So if you take yourself a nice thermal, you can have a nice top, and you can save yourself some extra trips from going back and forth to get tea and coffee. So I recommend, if you're a coffee drinker, tea drinker, you're gonna want to take some type of thermal or something to drink your hot beverages in. Let's get this out of the way. All right, next on the list, as we're talking about drinking, something that I always pack with me when I go on a cruise, and I always recommend to travelers, is to pack some type of a water bottle. I mean, again, these come in handy because the cups on the cruise ship at the beverage fountains, they're often small. Sometimes you may have to go up to the top, to the Lido deck or the top deck to get a beverage. And sometimes you might not feel like walking all the way up to that top deck. And so, or if you're trying to sit down and eat in one of the buffet areas, you might not feel like keep getting up constantly to get something to drink. So I always take some type of a water bottle with me, as well as I use this when I get off the ship. I take it all over the cruise ship with me. If I want to have something extra to drink in the room, I fill this up, take it down to my room, and I'm good to go. So I tend to like to have a cup that has a top on it. So that way, especially if I'm doing something active when I'm off the ship. And then sometimes I may take a cup like this, or if you have kids, you may want them to have a cup like this that kind of has a straw to it. But typically I would take something and prefer to take something like this. Now, something extra that I just recently got at Six Flags this past fall at Fright Fest, I got this nice little cup holder. And so I've taken this on a few trips with me, my last 11-day cruise. And I mean, this cup holder, it came in very handy because pretty much you can put a water bottle in it and you can be hands-free as you're walking around the cruise ship, as you're going on excursions. And then you can just have this bottle, you know, looped around your neck, and you can get your dance on. You can take pictures, you can do selfies. You got your phone, you can take some selfies. You know, your hands are free if you're playing cards, dominoes, or if you're just trying to walk around and carry your food. If you got one of these and you got this around your neck, hey, you're good to go. So check it out. A nice water bottle holder, and it also can clamp on to like a backpack, can clamp on to the side of your pants or shorts or other clothing apparel that you might have on. So I think this is a very good thing to have on a cruise, and it can come in to be very handy. All right, next on the list, check to make sure with the cruise that you're traveling on, but one thing that I always make sure I take with me is my own bottle of wine. Most cruise ships do allow you to bring at least one bottle of wine per adult in your stateroom. And so if you have 2 adults in the stateroom, you typically can take 2 bottles of wine, or let me add, or a bottle of champagne. So I typically make sure I have my wine with me packed in my bag, but I always check with the cruise line that I'm going on just to make sure that guests are allowed to bring 1 bottle of wine or 1 bottle of champagne. So something did fall on the floor. This is a live video, so I'm gonna grab it because this is something very important. I typically take my own corkscrew on the cruise, because if you do take a bottle of wine and you take a bottle that requires a corkscrew, they do charge. Some cruise lines may charge $25, $40, $20 just to uncork your bottle of wine. So it's best, if you are packing a bottle of wine, to take a top that twists, or if you're traveling long distance, I tend to take this on an airplane. I pack it under the plane. So, but it does have a it's plastic on the outside, metal on the inside. And even if I take this in my carry-on bag getting on the cruise ship, I've never had any problems. I've even got this through TSA a few times when I put it in my carry-on. But I typically pack me a corkscrew that's plastic on the outside. And from the times that I've taken one of these with me, they always have gotten through security, whether I'm taking it with my carry-on, like I said, on the plane, or if I'm putting it under the plane, and when I go through security on the cruise, because, you know, I got to be able to crack that wine open once I get on the cruise ship. So that's something else that I think is very important to take on your cruise and to pack. Well, we were talking about the sunshine. If you're going to the Caribbean, you know it can be very hot. So I tend to make sure I have a hat. You know, I got to have a hat when I'm traveling, you know, going to places that are sunny. And then not just any type of hat. I tend to have maybe like a bucket hat, or at least a hat that has like some type of string. So again, if I'm going on some type of tour, if I'm doing some type of biking or any type of riding on if you have to get on a tender, sometimes maybe the water's too shallow when you get off the cruise ship and you have to get on one of the smaller boats that take you into the port, or if I'm doing some type of boat excursion, I tend to take a hat that has a string, so that way I can, you know, draw it in and it can be tight and secure. And then too, if I'm up on the top deck of the cruise ship, sometimes it can be windy up there, and I just don't want my hats flying away. I don't want to lose anything while I'm out there trying to have fun. So, but I take a hat, to help protect this bald head I got here, because the sun, it does beam when you're down in those Caribbean areas. All right. With that said, let's see if we got anybody asking any questions at all. So we don't have any questions at all yet. So I'll just keep moving along. Let's see, what do I have next? Okay, getting in. I mean, this is something that you should know. If you want to get on a cruise ship, I got swimming trunks. I make sure I pack me something to go swimming in, to go to the beach in, get in the hot tub, go to the sauna, steam room while I'm on the cruise, and to be, like I said, to go to the beach and to swim. And like I said, I like to do a lot of water sports. And one thing I do is I like to bring my own toys to the beach with me. So I do take my own goggles and snorkeling equipment. So that way, that too can just save extra money, because a lot of times if you're going on excursions or if you're going to a beach, they will charge you just to rent goggles or to rent snorkels or snorkeling equipment. So I do take my own toys to the beach with me so that I'm ready for action. And then also this one is a little special because I can attach my GoPro right here on the top of these goggles. So when I'm swimming, I can get some good footage of the marine life that's out there. So goggles, snorkeling gear, I'm going to toss this to the side. Then I make sure I have some type of sandals. I pack sandals with me. Most of the times I try to pack some sandals that can get wet. Sometimes they have the Adidas sandals or Nike sandals, and they're kind of that soft cushion, but once they get wet, they may start to mildew. So I try to take some sandals or water shoes that can be like multi-purpose water shoes, like these shoes right here. They're good for, walking on the beach, swimming in, and that way I don't have to worry about hurting my foot or injuring my foot in case you step on a rock or step on something when you're walking around in port. So these are pretty come in pretty handy. Some nice body glove, nice water shoes, and then too, just for walking around the cruise ship and walking around in the port. And then too, I can be pretty active with these shoes as well, and they do give you grip. So if you're walking on the deck or walking in some place that's slippery, don't have to worry about no slip and falls when I'm cruising. I take these items with me. Next up, since we're looking at still like water sports, even though nowadays a lot of phones are, I guess we'll say, water resistant. Some people may think they're waterproof. Most of the time they're water resistant. So you want to check with your phone manufacturer. I'm team Android, S9 and another Galaxy phone here. They're both supposed to be water resistant. But what I do is I tend to take one of these like water pouches with me, and they always come in handy because not only can you use them to put your cell phone in, you can also use them to put like your ship card in here. You can use them to put like maybe your money, your IDs, any other personal information that you don't want to get wet during your time that you're having fun. If you're in a port, or if you're walking around a cruise ship and you're going to be getting in the hot tub or something like that, or if you're trying to keep some paper from getting wet too, this can come in handy. If you have like a ticket for a meal or a special receipt, you can always put that stuff down in here, and then they're pretty good once you clamp them, seal them up. And you can get these on Amazon. A lot of maybe Walmart, different stores sell them for pretty cheap. And then you get oftentimes two options where you can like put it on your arm if you want to just be able to reach in your arm while you're walking around, or you can put it around your neck. So that's a nice, cool option to do. So I typically make sure I take one of these with me and have them packed when I'm going on a cruise. So not only if I'm using them for my cell phone, like I said, I use them to put other personal items in them as well. And like I said, these phones, or most phones now, smartphones, are just water resistant. And one of the things that I've noticed in the past is once you get your cell phones wet, sometimes you can start to have some issues with the charging port. And I learned that a few years ago with some of my older cell phones that I had that were water resistant, and thought I was having fun going underwater, swimming, taking pictures, doing videos, getting them wet. And then I would get back to my stateroom, try to charge my phone up at nighttime. And, it would say there's water in the charging port. I could still use the phone, but couldn't charge it. So what I typically take on my cruises with me as well, I take a wireless charging base, just so that way, in case I have any troubles with my port from getting wet or getting any fluids inside of there, at least until it dries out, I still have a way to charge my phone and to charge my mobile device. So I would say you might want to take a wireless charging port with you. And these are pretty small. So they do have some that come in all different sizes now, but this one, nice, small, compact. You can take it with you and leave it in your stateroom during your cruise. So we've touched on a few things with water, touched on a few things with that. Another thing that I tend to bring is some type of shavers. Again, got to get myself right on the cruise, make sure I'm shaved up, looking nice and crispy when I'm cruising. But one of the issues that you can have sometimes on a cruise is all staterooms don't all have outlets in the bathroom. So that's something that could be very important if you're a lady and you have to use anything like curling irons or flat irons. It's important to maybe check with the cruise line before you go to find out if they have outlets in the bathroom, and then if some of that stuff is even allowed to take on the cruise ship that you use for purposes of grooming. But the best thing that you could do is maybe to find something that's wireless. If you're a man, to find like maybe some wireless clippers, just to be on the safe side, that are maybe either battery operated or rechargeable. So I always make sure I take one of my super shavers with me, or some type of battery operated clippers or shavers or rechargeable shaving devices. So that's something else I would recommend to take on a cruise. Next up, again, I'm adventurous. I like to be on the go, and I don't want the weather or nothing to stop me when I'm cruising. And I've got to some cruise ports, or got to the gangway of the ship sometimes, and it's time to get off the ship, and all of a sudden it starts storming. So I always take a poncho with me. I always take a poncho. Even if it's sunny outside, most of the time I will pack my poncho and have it with me on the go when I'm getting off the cruise ship. Because those tropical islands, especially depending on when you're traveling, if it's close to hurricane season, some places it just rains a lot. I think I've been to Cozumel about 4 times, and every time I've been there, it's rained. Even if it rained for like 20-30 minutes, it rained. So I always take a nice poncho with me. So that's important to think about. And if you don't take a poncho with you, if you get into that gangway, most of the time the cruise line is going to be down there with ponchos. But guess what? They're not giving them out for free, and it can be a mess because they're trying to sell ponchos, and people are down there trying to debate if they should stay on the ship, if they should get off the ship. So I say, take your own poncho with you and you'll be straight. Next, I got this as a nice gift from my sister some years ago, just thinking about how you can stay organized and things like that. So my sister bought me this travel wallet. So it's really nice, really handy, because as you can see, it has a big enough slot right here for me to keep my passport in, as well as to keep other identification cards and, money and things like that here. But it's a nice travel wallet that can actually fit my passport in, and I can keep this in a nice, safe place during my cruise. So something that I like to have with me when I travel is my nice travel wallet, because I don't always take my passport out the house with me every day. So if I'm going on a cruise, I know I'm going and I'm taking my passport with me. So why not take my nice travel wallet? Next up, since we're looking at wallets and things like that, I say it's always important to have some singles on you, and then even sometimes too, maybe to take a little change with you on the cruise. Make sure you have some change, make sure you have a few singles, because the minute you leave out of your house to go on your cruise, you may have to start tipping people right away. So I always take a nice denomination of 1s, 5s, and 10s, just to make sure I don't have to, just so I don't have to go out and have to try to get change. Or sometimes too, you might not want to be pulling out big wads or big bills out of your pocket, especially if you're a person that's going into port and you're doing shopping and you're trying to bargain with people. If they see you pull $100 bill out, they might not go down on their prices. Or if they see you pull out a $50 bill, they might not go down on their prices. Or if they see you pull out a $20 bill, they might think you're going to give them that $20 for a tip and then get salty. So I tend to have singles and fives just for tipping people. And then sometimes if I've done like a tour with somebody, then I may give them $10, $20 or more. But if it's just somebody doing something simple, I like to have a few singles with me and change. And then one of the most important things I think to take on a cruise with you is some type of charging port, or what would you call it? It's some type of extra plug outlet. So let me look on there. So this is a pretty good one. I'd like to take a lot of electronics with me. Typically when I travel, like I said, I have my shaver, I have 2 cell phones, I have my GoPro, sometimes I have my tablet, computer, iPod. So this can come in very handy because it does have the USB ports, as well as it has 2 extra plug outlets, because a lot of times in your staterooms, there may not be a lot of outlets. And like I said, sometimes the bathroom has none at all. So something like this can come in very, very handy. This one is small, sleek, and very compact. I can, push those in, and it can just slide in a suitcase, slide in a backpack, and I'm good to go. But if I got a lot of space, I'll also pack something like this, to where this way too, it can give you at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 options for plugs. So if you have kids in the room or multiple people in the room, this could come in handy too. And then sometimes too, I may take like a portable Bluetooth speaker with me. But again, if you're sharing rooms with someone, or even if you have a room by yourself and you have multiple electronics, you're gonna want to take something like this with you on your cruise with you as well. I think this is one of the most important things to have with you on that cruise, so you can make sure your devices are charged up for your pictures and your photos and your Snapchat and Instagram and Facebook and all that good stuff. All right. Then something else that I tend to make sure I pack and have ready and handy when I'm going on a cruise, I like to take a backpack with me, some type of backpack. I got this one down in the Bahamas. I think this one is actually, pretty nice because sand can't really stick to this bag right here. If I lay it down on the beach, the sand can just brush right off of it. But I tend to take a backpack with me on my cruise, because that way too, if I'm doing something like going to the gym on the cruise, or going to the Lido deck and just hanging out for the day, or going swimming, or going to the hot tub, or when I'm in port, if I didn't say that already, I can put everything in here from like snacks. If you don't have that nice strap that I have for a water bottle, maybe you can attach your water bottle to the side, keep your camera inside here, maybe change your clothes when you're getting off the ship, any important information. Again, if you're making stops, if you're doing tours and making stops when you're in port, this can come in handy for putting items that you purchase inside of here. So I always tell people, and I always suggest, to take some type of small bag or an actual backpack. And again, too, it can even come in handy for putting wet clothes and for putting things in here like a beach towel. So I always recommend to people, take a backpack or some type of bag with you when you're traveling on a cruise. And then, I think this might be the last thing that I have with me today for this video is, again, I like to do adventurous stuff. I have some relatives and friends that don't mind doing adventurous stuff like hiking or biking or riding ATVs, or going out and just doing things, walking through the rainforest, or walking through the jungle, things like that. So sometimes, depending on if I know I'm doing something horseback riding on my trip, and if I do have space, this is can be a little bulky, but if I know I have space in my suitcase, I will take this. I guess I call it like a water bag. So I can have plenty of fluids, especially if I'm going someplace like in July, August, even June, when it's like that hot, extreme heat. I take something like this, and I can fill it up with either juice or fill it up with water before I get off the cruise ship. Or even if I stop someplace when I'm in port, and fill it up that way. Has a nice little what do you want to call this, area where you can just suck and drink stuff without having to, open a bottle or do things like that. And this is good because I can still be, active and just take a sip or take a drink and keep driving or keep, riding on the horse or keep hiking and moving. And then also, this is very neat too because it has some actual like storage space as well too, to keep items safe, like the ID, cash, cell phones. So I would recommend too, if you're an adventurous person like me, you can even take something like this and it can have enough liquid in it to last you maybe for your whole time that you're in port, or even just if you're walking around a cruise ship, you may want to use this. I think I would just use it just for getting off the ship and doing adventurous stuff. But hey, you might want to use it to walk around a cruise ship with. I don't know. So thanks for tuning in. Again, I'm J-Hen with J-Hen Travel and Services. This has been a video to kind of let you know some of the things that I pack when I'm preparing to go on a cruise. I'll come back with some more videos to share some more of my travel tips and packing tips, as well as just to let you know some things that you need to know about if you're a first-time cruiser, as far as boarding the ship, as far as exiting the ship, and just important things to know as a cruiser in general. Let me think of anything else I wanted to touch on. I think I covered all my props that I had here. Let me look around and make sure nothing else fell. Yeah, I think I covered all of the topics that I wanted to cover with what I had around me in the area. But I do want to say, go ahead, hit that subscribe button down below. That's the only way that you'll be able to stay caught up and notified when I upload new videos. And I tend to upload at least 3 to 4 videos each week, as well as when you hit that subscribe button down below, go ahead and hit the bell too. That way that bell will give you a special notification each time I upload a video, so you'll know and you can stay in touch and you can be a part of my J-Hen travel crew, because the J-Hen travel crew, we're growing. Just last year around this time, I was at about 100 subscribers and it's tripled on up to 400. And I'm believing that I'll be over 500 subscribers by the end of February. I'm believing I'll be at least 500 or more subscribers by the end of February, and I can make that happen, and you can make that happen if you hit that subscribe button down below. And coming up next week, I'm going to start something new on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm going to be uploading videos or coming on live and talking about trending travel topics or trending travel news. So I already got one video in the works, and then I have a few more topics that I want to talk about. And if you have any questions about cruising, leave me a comment down below. I try to respond to each person's comment that responds on my videos. Or if you have any questions, leave it down below. Also, my contact information will be down in the description down below as well. So I hope this video was some help to you. If it wasn't, let me know what I could have did to make it a little bit better for you. If you're already a person and you think it's some things that you pack on the cruise that I didn't list that down there in the comments area as well, so you can help somebody else out and you can help me out to let me know what do you think is some of the most important things to pack when you're traveling on a cruise. So with that said, I'm going to say peace out and thanks for watching.